Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Knights of the Dirty Table. I am your host, Pasty Merrick Henry, and today we are going to be talking about Spider-Man's return to the MCU. I can't believe it. You probably can't believe it either. We are so happy that Spider-Man has come home to Disney and Marvel through the various deal and the legal process and blah, 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 whatever. We're happy that he's back. With me today to talk about more Spider-Man back with Disney, Sir Wayne Dwyer.
Fourth whip.
And we're going to give our thoughts on just really what went down with this deal. I will start if that's okay. I don't really have any words. I'm still kind of in shock. I can't believe it's actually come through. And
you know, if you don't have anything to say, I might have a little to talk about here. I think I'm a pretty good resource on this issue. Hey guys,
it's Tony Stark. Get him a chair. Get him a chair. Get him a chair.
Give me a chair.
Thank you for holding for such technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have Tony Stark.
Iron Man.
Yes.
Yep.
Iron Man.
Good boy. Iron Man.
What's up, buddy?
Hi.
Iron Man is here to talk about the fantastic new deal that Spider-Man has between Disney and Sony. So, I mean, we have to go to the guest of honor. Mr. Stark, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I'm very glad to have Peter back. Oh, God, that broke my heart when I heard the news. I was totally torn up. And, you know, if there's one thing that makes me happy after all that happened in Far From Home is knowing that it's actually going to get finished. And that maybe my technology will be part of the third movie as well.
This very well could be the best Spider-Man trilogy we've ever gotten.
I think it will be the second Spider-Man trilogy that we've ever gotten.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, did you see Andrew Garfield? I did. I saw it with you. It was terrible.
Yes.
I'm still hoping for that Spider-Verse film with all three of them. How
Actually,
great would that be?
It would be so good.
So I want to bring this up to you guys because I think this is after because
Yes, Mr. Stark, you have the floor.
we talked about this on the episode where we talked about and reviewed Far From Home, and we really liked it. It was great. We were so excited to see Spider-Man's future in the MCU and how he would go now that he has left my nest and can flourish on his own now that he's kind of, on the run.
Yes, like a big boy.
Yeah, and boy, how terrible was it that the timing of that worked out the way it did, that the very day that we dropped that episode...
That news happened.
I think we simply have that effect on Hollywood. We are a curse and a plague.
It's the dirty table touch.
Yeah, that's what we do here.
We're going to have to trademark that one, boys.
I want to position this to you guys because I think there's some merit here. Do you think that Far From Home is really just an allegory for this entire scandal? In that the Edith glasses are Spider-Man and Mysterio is our Disney allegory and Peter himself is, of course, Sony in this situation. Now, I know it's not perfect, but I mean, think back to that scene where the illusions start to disappear in the bar and Mysterio's just like, well, that wasn't so hard. Now, after all is said and done, I feel like we got conned a little bit by my overlords.
I need a minute on that one. Wayne, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts about that is that, one, Fox sucks. Not Fox, but Fox does suck.
Fox does suck. Yeah, Fox News is terrible.
Fox News is awful.
Oh, it's
So
ruining
who
the
are we
country.
talking about?
I guess Fox News now.
No.
And
Did you mean to say Sony?
they both suck.
Because they suck from a
They
story.
ruined Ghostbusters.
Yeah, they did. They really did. But we're getting it back.
So Sony. So you have a vendetta against Sony. Is that where we're at?
I
Are
do.
you a Sony boy or a Disney boy?
I'm a Disney guy.
I don't know where I stand.
I think I'm a Disney on this one. I don't even really like Disney that much either. But if I was to choose between the two evils, I'd go with Disney.
I'm so torn because as someone who adores and loves Marvel and loves seeing all this at one screen, I'm also concerned by one corporation owning 40% of our culture.
That is true.
I was
Yeah.
afraid of them buying Sony out of spite, but then we would have probably had antitrust lawsuits.
No, but now
Yeah,
Apple
but-
could be up for grabs to get Sony, so that could be on the slate.
But that would mean that we would get Peter back in the MCU because part of that deal, I've read into
Yes.
this a little bit,
You
is
did read
that if Apple were to buy Sony,
if anyone
the
were to buy
original
Sony.
rights of
Spider-Man.
if anyone bought Sony, they lose the rights to Spider-Man and all of his properties, and they go back to Marvel.
That would probably be the only good thing out of a Sony buyout.
That would be, honestly, I think
Kind of
best
like
case
the only
scenario.
good thing for Fox was that we get our Marvel characters back, but they own the rest of 70, 80 years of film history.
It's pretty.
I
It's a pretty.
don't think any one company should own that much pop culture and title.
And yet, this is not an election, and we have no say, and we are just the common folk. However, that brings up an interesting point that I wanted to ask both of you. Do you think the fandom helped push this deal back, or do you think the loss of money from potentially both parties influenced this decision?
Ultimately, I think they really don't care what you think. It's a company.
That's
They're-
how I
they,
feel, yeah.
I think they care what we think, but not to the extent that we want them to.
Yeah.
I think they care in the way that they think it can pressure the other side.
and then that can be used to help them make more money. Because once again, how many times do we need to see Uncle Ben die?
Yeah. We don't know who leaked the original deal and the original fallout of that deal, but I think we
I
can.
think it was
all-
Variety, but I could be wrong about
Well,
that.
no, but like the original source of the leak. you
Oh,
know?
I see.
Like
Yeah.
whoever that could have been, it seemed quite motivated in a way that was meant to pressure, and obviously at that point Sony. So it feels to me like that was a Disney leak, only because they were the only ones to. I think they were. Here's the thing. This is all conjecture, but it felt to me that they were trying to pressure Sony by getting the court of public opinion on Disney's side. It kind of backfired on them for a little bit, and it just
Yeah.
turned into a really ugly struggle. And it kind of made me a little cynical about the state of everything because, well, we had all these amazing properties that are finally coming to the MCU, which I'm super excited to talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this kind of thing can still happen. Even after a few years of some nice synergy and some great profits on both sides of the fence with some great stories being told, this can still happen.
I feel like to your point, to kind of bounce off it in regards to this being a Disney leak,
Yeah.
possibly backfiring, and I certainly could see how
very-
it could happen.
Who else would have benefited at that point? you know?
Yes, I wonder if sometimes news sources are willing to pay off other people, and they're willing to get a huge payday just for the information
Oh,
alone.
yeah. Anything could have happened. It was
And
so crazy.
I think Disney would have been smart enough to know that they shouldn't put out the information in this way because they knew that it would look bad in the long run. Now, not to say that Disney isn't a corporate overlord, and they very well could have orchestrated something.
They got some money on them. They
Similar
can, they
to
can do
this.
stuff.
They can.
So,
So-
remember what they did to Treasure Planet? How they buried that movie?
Oh, I want them to bring that back and make it live action, dude.
I love that
Well,
movie.
there's one place for that. Disney Plus, November 12th.
Which
We're not
yeah,
sponsored.
If only. Yeah,
Disney
do you want
sponsor
to
us.
talk about that? Or?
Yeah, well, so with all of these Disney Plus shows that are coming out too, do we think that the Disney Plus, we'll keep it Marvel in the case, it's strictly Marvel. The
Yeah,
Disney
yeah.
Plus
Yeah.
Marvel brand will continue to flourish, say, without Spider-Man if the deal ends? Because, I mean, we're going to get the third film, and we're most likely, I think it's 2 films. He's going to be in the third movie
Cameo.
and going to be in a cameo in
Yeah.
either an Avengers movie or another movie. We're not sure. And he can also come into a Sony film with, like, Venom 2. That's what I would hope for, personally.
No.
Do we think with all of these upcoming Disney Plus shows and things that the MCU can continue without Spider-Man if he winds up disappearing again without a lot of controversy?
I think at this point they're definitely planning on it.
They should
This
be.
was a big shock to the system for Disney. I think they thought that they, especially after Endgame and Far From Home, that they could do whatever the hell they wanted and be able to get away with it.
Yep.
But yeah, at this point, I would say definitely.
Wayne.
I actually agree for the most part. I mean, it's basically. I lost my train of thought, but I'll just go with it anyway.
Spider-Man has that effect on people. So
He
does
does.
Tony Stark.
I know.
He does.
I'm getting used to it. Not really.
I'm getting used to the clanking.
Yeah, no, that's all part of it. It's not that thing that you get in Iron Man 1. I'm not at the nanomachines
he
part
he
yet.
just needs some oil.
I just
That's
got
all.
out of the cave. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps up how we feel about the Spider-Man Sony deal.
Yeah.
Oh, you had one more thought.
Not about, but I'm ready to kind of take another thought towards the D23 and stuff because
Please.
essentially that happened right after the whole scandal broke, and Disney was hoping to get that wrapped up in a week and be able to
Yup.
announce at D23
That didn't work.
Hey,
Yup.
we were good. We got Spidey. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we got Spidey. Don't worry about it. We're
But I think that once I saw the whole lineup, I was like, okay, I can see this. One thing that really made me confident about this next phase is that the proper integration of the TV side of things
See,
is really.
Well, that's because Marvel Studios is doing it. It's not Marvel Television.
I
Well,
feel
yes,
like
that's true. They
So
were
I
very
mean, it
different.
matters.
I feel
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna have Disney Plus. I'm not gonna get it.
Oh, I'm good now.
I mean, if
You can share an account with me.
The Mandalorian has already signed the deal for me.
But so, like, what about the people that don't watch? Like, my mom watches all the Marvel movies. She's not going to watch the Marvel TV series.
I don't know, man. Depending on how WandaVision's been kind of spun in an interesting way as being like this kind of like 50s, kind of like it's based on that Vision comic where they're in the 50s and they're like a housewife kind of deal.
I saw that.
That could be something that I bet my mom could be spun
But,
to.
like, what happens if they don't want to watch that? They just want to go see, like, the movie? Like, my mom didn't go see every single Avengers movie. She just saw the ones that she thought would be interesting.
Everyone shares accounts now. So, like, I think when you have a family account for something like Disney Plus, it's not going to be that difficult to say, hey, you should check out WandaVision. And be like, oh, where can I see it? Oh, it's on Disney Plus.
Disney is not expecting, and I believe this was from their CEO, either Bob Iger or Alan Horn, co-chairman of entertainment for Disney. I forget what the actual title is. I think they said that Disney Plus is not expected to make money for at least 5 years. They're not expected to make any revenue. All of it is in the beginning is an investment.
Yep.
And I think as time goes on, not necessarily to say specifically to your mother here, but like people in general who don't have Disney Plus, the idea is to get them to have Disney Plus over time.
My whole argument about people not going to see it, like going to go watch those movies, like most people like us, we're all going to go watch it. I'm going to watch the Hawkeye series because I like Hawkeye.
Yeah.
But like,
I want to see Kate Bishop and She-Hulk and all that.
Yeah, exactly though. But like, we're all going to see those. But like, the average person though, isn't going to want to actually go out and seek out that stuff. They're diversifying further away from the general audience.
But I think as more and more people, as more and more of entertainment is going towards streaming, I think more and more people are just going to have to kind of jump onto the bandwagon of getting the shows that they want via streaming.
A big thing to note here is that you look at Endgame.
Yep.
It is the most popular movie in the world.
It's the greatest film ever made.
It's one of the greatest films ever made, absolutely.
It's
it is a comic book annual event put to screen. But the thing is...
It is released on Free Comic Book Weekend.
In order to get that...
I didn't know that. That's
actually really funny.
They do it every year.
In order to get that... Well, it's actually on the weekend of my birthday, which is always fun for me.
That's even better.
I get myself a little free comic book here. But see, in order to get what's going on in Endgame, you have to have at least seen Infinity War. You have to have at least some understanding of what's going on in this universe. Well, it's like trying to... Look, the MCU is the longest running television show in history.
It is.
And as far as it goes, in order to really grasp it, it's like trying to watch the season finale. And I think people have done a good job of going, listen, I don't care. I'm still going to have fun. So I'm not too worried because while they are delving into the really deep cuts now with Marvel, I mean, Eternals... I'm a big Marvel fan. I have never read a single Eternals comic.
I don't think I've ever read
it. Sweet Bippy, I'm going to be reading some Eternals coming
deep.
soon.
We'll be talking about that in a future episode.
I don't think I've ever heard of the Eternals, and I'm your comic book guru, and I was like, what the hell is an Eternal?
Phase 4 for me is the culmination of everything I've been looking forward to seeing in the MCU. Things like Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel. I'm so curious to see how they'll play her with Carol Danvers in the way that she's done her role at the moment. There's a really big one that I was like, holy cow, I cannot believe this is coming to screen.
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk was a huge one.
She-Hulk was a big one. I want to know. I still want it.
The Mighty Thor. The fact that we're going to get Jane Foster as the Mighty Thor.
Jane Foster Thor.
And the fact that they're bringing Natalie Portman back to do it. I mean, that was unheard of to me. You know, if you'd asked me that when we did that last episode, if that was likely, like, oh, what do you think the possibility we get some Mighty Thor in there? No way. That Natalie Portman hates MCU. She's never coming back. But Taika Waititi, the brilliant visionary that he is, made that happen. And like that kind of stuff is what makes me most excited.
So we think
I'm really, really excited for that Thor.
Oh, me too.
Like as I
it's
said,
gonna be so fun.
As I said, I'm gonna go see like the majority of the films of the characters that I already know, and stay away from the ones that are like new to me. That's how I feel about it. Because me and the person I go see the movies with, we only go see, we like, hey, do you want to go see Spider-Man? It's like, well, we already saw Far From Home, so we want to go see the next part.
Yeah.
But like, I don't care about the Eternals unless it turns out to be like a Guardians thing.
Yeah, where it's like, holy crap, this is actually amazing.
Pretty much what they're billing it as.
And you know what? They did it once. They can certainly do it
again.
They
did it twice because Guardians. When we went to Comic-Con, remember when we went to Comic-Con? How many Groots there were and people that was
so
we
much.
had one guy
Groot
that knew nothing about comic books, but he loved Groot.
Can't blame him.
My niece, who's 9, adores Groot, or she's 10 now, but
they grow up so fast.
Don't tell her I said she's 9. She loves Groot. She's like, I am Groot.
So we feel that the MCU has a backup plan post Spider-Man now,
I
as
feel like-
compared to before.
I feel like what they were doing before was that they were really leaning on Spider-Man, and then Sony took him away from him, and then they made them all panic a little bit, and now they have to come up with a new plan. I think it's actually going to be Wanda.
I'm really excited to see, because now that we know that Fantastic Four is officially coming back,
I want Doctor Doom
to have
bad.
the X-Men on the horizon in like 5, 6, 7 years. Just like I hope that I'm torn because like if the MCU is still here 10 years out later, it's like holy
They've
cow,
planned it.
what
They've
are they
got
doing?
those dates booked. You look at that calendar,
Yeah.
that release slate of films that they've
They're
booked
coming.
off. We
And
don't know what
I'm a
they
little
are. They don't know
scared.
what they are, but we've got them till 2028, folks.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy
Google
thought.
it.
That's a crazy thought.
It
20
is.
whole years.
20
of
whole years of
MCU.
Marvel, and I'm going to be...
And look what they've done in that time, in 10 years, where we've gotten to. We have full-on Thanos and like all these world-ending plots. Like Galactus could have shown up in Endgame, and I wouldn't have been that surprised. you
No.
know?
Which
A lot of people were saying the earthquakes that they were talking about underwater,
Namor.
name was Namor.
which
Better
is
if
funny.
Namor's the villain of the second Black
I
Panther movie.
hope that
I will
Namor is actually
go
going to be
nuts.
the villain of the Fantastic Four movie, because he has a whole thing with Sue Storm.
He also has a huge thing with Black Panther.
Yeah.
T'Challa hates his guts.
Well, yeah, because for a while he was a villain.
I think that would be if you were able to make Black Panther 2 in such a way that T'Challa doesn't come out looking like a perfect hero, kind of like he did with Killmonger. I mean,
Yep.
Killmonger was very violent, very much a villain, but he also did a lot to question the original status quo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Namor could do that in a different way and seem justified, that would help build his anti-hero persona the way that we all
Yeah.
know him in the
Don't
comics.
think we can do Namor necessarily because Universal does still have the rights, the right of first refusal to Namor. What they could do with Namor is drop him into a movie that we just couldn't get a Namor movie. So we're not sure how the
if
legal
we
rights
can-
go with
If
that
we can
character.
get Namor, I feel like Namor is like the Hulk, as the Simpsons.
Exactly.
The Simpsons have the best line for the Hulk. The Hulk is great when he's not in his own movie.
Yeah. With him, it's like they did a great job of fitting all his arcs into the different Avengers movies, and that's
Yep.
where he fits best. It's kind of like a Joker movie. You kind of like, it's kind of hard to have a whole movie based around this character who only works best around another character.
That's how I feel about him too.
Be very curious to see how next week goes. You know how Friday goes. I'm gonna see it.
I'm not.
Yeah, I don't blame
We
you.
will save that for
Yeah,
another
sorry, that's a
conversation.
We'll
totally
save that
different
for
one.
another one.
Before we go, as I try to, I guess, wrap things up a second time, I don't know.
Yeah, you're not wrapping anything. Sorry.
So, as I've mentioned in a previous video, Sony had the opportunity to get all of these characters.
And they said
And they said only Spider-Man was worthwhile, that everything else was
They
garbage.
said what their exact words were. I don't want that expletive because I can't curse right now. Because if
well, I mean, you can. We'll just censor it out later. So.
they're like, we don't want that shit. We want Spider-Man.
There you go.
And then now that's kicking them in the ass.
You can
Did that
blame
feel
Avi
good?
Arad
That
for
feel
that
good,
one.
Wayne?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did. It felt
But
so
you
good.
can also thank Avi Arad because I don't think without the Raimi trilogy would
Yeah.
be where we're at.
No, definitely. The X-Men trilogy has led... Or the X-Men trilogy. The X-Men franchise,
Hey,
more
X-Men
or less.
and Spider-Man, those trilogies
Exactly.
both
That-
Those help us
fun.
get to these.
Well, those-
Blade 2. Blade also has to be included in that.
Blade-
So
yeah.
Sony could have had an opportunity to do this.
Thank God
Would
they
it be as great? No, because you would have had just filmmakers and directors,
It
not
would have
people
been a
who love
mess.
these characters
Yeah.
taking apart these
Well,
films.
like, the thing about Blade that's weird though is that most people didn't know that he was a comic book character until you tell them after they see the
I
movie.
know. It doesn't really even feel like a comic book movie, honestly.
Although Blade
Some
2
motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
exactly Blade 2 one of the best cheesy movies you'll ever see if you've ever seen it.
And on that
Do you
note,
blush?
we are going to end here. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Knights of the Dirty Table. If you liked what you saw, like the video, subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure to share with all your friends. I thought you popped out for a moment.
No, I was going, you like what you see?
Got you. I do. You're doing great, Tony. And we will see you next time, folks.
Bye.
Bye.